Pricing Orders lesson, we will discuss price list. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to perform the following: be able to create a price list for both standard and coverage items, explain what adjustments are in pricing, and describe how pricing charges work. This graphic gives a big picture view of everything included in the order-to-cash process. You get all this functionality when Oracle Fusion Cloud Order Management is connected with other Oracle Fusion Cloud SCM applications. It's worth noting that things like credit checks, transportation planning, and compliance screening can all happen when an order is submitted, as well as during the fulfillment stage. We provide pre-built integrations with the applications shown here to make the entire order-to-cash workflow work smoothly. For this course, we focus on just a select group of these applications as they relate to order management and fulfillment, and discuss how they connect with both upstream and downstream systems. In this lesson, we'll be focusing specifically on price list. In the first topic, we'll discuss price list, including charges, adjustments, and pricing various types of items. As a pricing administrator, you can use price list to manage the prices of your items and services. The base list price is the starting point for an item. You can set up rules to define these base prices, and you also have the flexibility to offer different prices to customers based on things like order volume or specific attributes. Adjustments can be added on top of these base price lists to get the final list price. When an order is being processed, the pricing engine automatically calculates the list price by starting with the base price and applying any adjustments. A price list can hold several different item prices, which are called pricing charges. Each charge is identified by a price type, and charge subtype. You have a few options when it comes to creating and updating price list. File-based data import. You can create new price list, add items and charges with tiers and attribute rules, or even update an existing price list or use the batch feature. ADFDI, also known as Excel integration. This lets you add items and rules or update existing ones, but not create brand new price lists from scratch. When defining pricing charges, you can include both one-time and recurring charges. For example, a one-time charge. As an example, a mobile phone with a sale price of $445 and recurring charge. As an example, a monthly charge of $15 for a service. This flexible setup allows you to meet a variety of pricing scenarios tailored to your customers' needs. Let's walk through what a price list looks like. A price list is basically a group of prices for specific items or services, designed for a certain set of customers and valid for a particular time frame. In this example, the price list includes charges for a wide range of items and services. We're zooming in on a specific item number AS46341, and checking out one of the charges that's been set up for it. If we want, we can add another charge for the same item. We also have the option to take other actions, like setting up a pricing tier or using an attribute-based pricing matrix for more advanced pricing rules. Pricing allows you to create various types of price lists, such as segment, GSA, ceiling, and floor price list. You can assign one or more price lists to one or more strategies. Additionally, you can view the pricing strategies that are associated with a specific price list in the Reference tab within the price list user interface. Consider a use case in which Vision Corporation keeps track of our item prices using the corporate price list. Some products just have a one-time charge, while others might have both a one-time and a recurring charge. You can set up different types of charges to calculate the base list price for your items and services. Here are the main ways you can do this. Through price, which is a fixed amount set for the item or service. Cost. With cost plus pricing, where the base price is calculated by adding a markup or applying a discount to the actual cost. You define these costs in Pricing Cost List. If you need to pull in real-time cost data, you can even extend your pricing setup to connect with services like Oracle Fusion Cloud Costing. And Covered Item Price Percentage. You can also base the price of a certain percentage of the price of the covered item. Let's look at some examples of how these calculations work. For price. For a mobile phone, you might simply set the price at $445 using the fixed price calculation method. Cost. If you're using cost plus pricing, here's how it works. In your price list, you add a markup of $55. On your cost list, the phone's cost for this pricing charge is $390. So, at order time, the system takes the cost of $390 plus the markup of $55 to get the base list price equaling $445. For covered item pricing percentage. For coverage items like warranties, you can set the price at a percentage of the main item's price. As an example, if the warranty is 15% of the phone's prices and the phone is $445, then the coverage price comes out to $66.75. If you need to include extra pricing rules on top of your base list price, you could add adjustments to each pricing charge. These adjustments can be based on tiers like quantity breaks or an attribute, but just keep in mind you can't use both tier-based and attribute-based adjustments for coverage items. You also have the option to allow manual adjustments during order creation. These aren't set up on the price list since they're specific to each transaction. Manual adjustments are made on the list price, not the base list price, and whether you allow them is something you can set up for each charge. If you want to set up extra pricing rules on top of your base list price, you can add adjustments to each pricing charge. These adjustments can be either tier-based, like giving discounts for bulk purchases, or attribute-based, such as special pricing for certain customer groups. You can also give users the option to make manual adjustments during order entry. Since these are unique to each order, you don't define them in the price list. They're applied directly to the list price at the time of the transaction. Whether or not someone can make manual adjustments is controlled by settings on each charge. You have the flexibility to offer volume pricing to your customers by setting up tier-based adjustments. These can be based either on the quantity ordered or on the total extended amount of the order. You can add tier-based adjustments right on top of the base list price or charge for the item. These rules can be applied to a single order line or across all lines in an order. In this screenshot, you can see the part of the user interface where you set up tier-based adjustments. Here are some sample tier-based pricing rules from the example. A $50 adjustment for orders up to 10 units. A $100 adjustment for quantities between 10 and 50, and a $200 adjustment for orders of more than 50 units. This setup lets you automatically offer better pricing as your customers buy more. When you're setting up amount-based tiers, you have control over what gets included in the tier calculation. You do this using the tier-based setup in the Manage Pricing base page. The setup step lets you choose exactly which price element or price point to aggregate and for which set of charges when you're applying your amount-based tier rules. Take a moment to review the example described on this slide. This slide describes attribute-based adjustments. You can set up pricing rules that are triggered by certain conditions or specific attributes. This means you can adjust prices based on item attributes like color or size, or even by item category. For example, automatically apply a 3% discount to all products in the hand sanitizing category. Let's continue with the example from the previous slide. The table you see here has columns for customer, adjustment, adjustment type, and adjustment basis. The customers listed are Vision and Manufacturer 123. For the mobile phone, the base price is $445. If the customer is Vision, a $100 adjustment is taken off the base list price so that the new list price becomes $345. If the customer is Manufacturer 123, a 7.5% discount is applied to the base price, making their adjusted list price $411.62. This shows how you can tailor your pricing adjustments based on the specific customer. Here are the steps to use item extensible attributes in Oracle Fusion Pricing. 1. Create the item extensible attribute. 2. Add the attribute group to an item class in the Product Information Management work area. 3. Set up an attribute page and link it to the pricing functional area. 4. Edit the matrix class, such as Pricing Term Matrix, to include your new item attribute as a condition. 5. Create your price list in the Pricing Administration work area. And 6. Add an attribute-based adjustment rule to your price list in Pricing Administration. Let's walk through the steps shown in the graphic from left to right. First, set up your category hierarchy for items and make sure each item is assigned to the right category. Next, run the Refresh Product Hub Snapshot scheduled process to update your product data. Then, specify which product catalogs you want pricing to use when calculating adjustments for each item. Finally, create your attribute adjustment rules right on the price list. These steps are the same as before, but now we're also showing you where to do each one. For the Setup the Category hierarchy and assign items to categories, this is done on the Product Information Management page under Manage Catalogs. Run the Refresh Product Hub Snapshot Schedule process, which is done on the Tools and Scheduled Processes page. Specify which product catalogs prices should be used for adjustments, which is done on the Setup Order Management page under the Pricing functional area. You'll look for the Manage Pricing Parameters task. And create Attribute Adjustments rule on your price list, which is done in Pricing Administration using the Manage Price List page. Set up your pricing matrix on the Manage Matrix Classes page. You can fine-tune prices on a price list by setting up adjustments based on one or more categories from your catalog right in the Price Adjustment matrix. In the Pricing Administration work area, you have the option to let Order Entry Specialists make manual price adjustments right in Oracle Order Management. Here's how you do it. Select a price list, find the item you want, and then check the Allow Manual Adjustments box on the price list charge. The screenshot you see shows this setting on the Edit Price List page under the Price section. Here's how to get there. From the navigator, go to Order Management, then choose Pricing Administration. On the Overview page, open the Task panel and select Manage Price List. Search for the price list you need, like Corporate, then select it. On the Edit Price List page, look up your item. Then, click Create Charge to define your pricing details and enable manual adjustments if desired. The slides that follow will provide information about pricing for configurable items, coverage items, and subscription items. As an example, let's say we have a configured desktop called Desktop 123. The base price for the root model is $500. Now there are a few components. The hard drive option adds $50, the RAM adds $30, and the modem adds $20. When a customer finishes their configuration, the system adds up all these component charges, so the final price or roll-up charge for Desktop 123 comes to $600. This includes the root model and all selected components. For this to work, you need to define a pricing charge for each of the component items. You're allowed to set a component's price to 0, but a charge will still need to be defined. These roll-up charges are calculated automatically at runtime. Keep in mind, you can only set tier-based or attribute-based adjustments on the root item, but not on the individual components. For managing pricing, you can use either the hierarchical or summary view in your price list. For hierarchical view, this lets you expand the structure tree and see charges for each component, so you can see how all the parts add up at the total price. With summary view, you get a flat view of the model and its components, which makes defining and reviewing charges quick and easy in one place. If you're working with multiple models that share components, you only need to define the component price once, and it can be reused across all configuration models. You can also set a price that's specific to a particular model, which will override the standard components price. Just note that you can't apply tier-based or attribute-based adjustments to a model-specific price. They only apply to the component price. Here's a tip. While the standard setup needs a pricing charge for every component, you can always extend or tweak the logic further using pricing algorithms. Now that you have an idea of how standard items are priced, let's talk about how pricing works for coverage items and subscriptions. Example of covered items and coveraged items. A server with a 6-month warranty, or an MRI machine with a technical support plan. A couple of important points. You can't use tier-based or matrix-based pricing adjustments for coverage items. When setting up coverage, you'll choose a service duration type, such as fixed. Here, you specify both the duration, like 6, and the period, such as months or years, in the product information management. These values show up as read-only both in the price list and in order management. A variable. Here, you set the initial values in product information management. They default into the price list, but users can still enter or change the service duration and period when defining pricing rules. The same flexibility exists in order management, Order entry specialists can adjust the value as needed. Open-ended. Here, there is no default value for the duration or period, so the order entry specialist must enter them at the order time. Based on the service duration and period you set, Pricing Administration automatically calculates the duration extended amount for coverage items. One more thing, make sure the time unit of measure mapping is set up correctly. If it's not, order management won't show a price for the coverage item. This mapping needs to be done as a order management. Let's talk about service duration options. With fixed, you can set both the duration, like 3, and the time period, such as years or months, in the product information management work. These values are read-only on the price list and in order management. Variable, you enter the initial values in product information management. They'll show up by default in the price list, but users or other order entry specialists can adjust the duration or the time period. Open-ended. There's no preset value for duration or period, so the order entry specialist will need to enter them manually for each order. Pricing Administration uses the service duration and period you set to calculate the duration extended amount for both subscriptions and coverage items. Just be sure that the time unit of measure mapping is set up correctly, otherwise, order management won't be able to show a price on those items. Here's how duration-based pricing is calculated. Subscriptions, there's a formula, which is unit price times quantity times service duration and duration period. As an example, if the price for a Vision Trade magazine subscription is $50 per year and a customer orders a 2-year subscription, the calculation is $50 a year times 1 subscription times 2 years equaling $100. Recurring charge is $10 a month instead, and the subscription is for 2 years, then you'd calculate $10 per month times 1 subscription times 24 months, equaling $240. You can set up both one-time and recurring charges, either as fixed amounts or as a percentage of the covered item's price. For percentage of covered item's price, the formula is a percentage of the covered item's price. As an example, an extended warranty for a 49-inch HD TV is 20% of the TV's price. So for a TV priced at $450, the one-time price for the warranty would be $90. For coverage items, the formula is unit price times quantity times duration times unit of measure, equaling the duration extended amount. As an example, let's say you offer a gold warranty on laptop priced at $10 per year. For 5 laptops, the yearly total is $10 times 5 equaling $50. Over 3 years, the total duration amount would be $10 times 3 times 5 equaling $150. In the first instructor demonstration included for this lesson, we'll review price lists for coverage items. In the second instructor demonstration, we'll review a standard price list. And in the third instructor demonstration, we'll review price lists for. In the next topic, we'll discuss the maintenance of price list. Robust search features make it much easier to find and manage the price list you need. You can also look up profile options directly in the Setup and Maintenance work area. While you can create and update prices for standard items right in the UI, mass updates aren't available for configured items, kits, coverages, or subscriptions through the interface. However, if you need to import or update a large number of items, especially components of a configuration model, you can do this efficiently using the price list imports batch template. Before you can add or update items, you'll need to create your price. Here are the steps for managing price list using an Excel workbook. First, install the ADFDI setup tool. Secondly, in the navigator, go to Order Management and select Pricing Administration. Third, on the Overview page, open the Task panel and click on Manage Price List. 4. Download your current price data into the workbook. 5. Make any changes or Excel. And finally 6. Once you're done, upload your updated workbook back into pricing. This process makes bulk updates and edits to price lists quick and user-friendly. You can manage your existing pricing cost list using file-based data import along with Microsoft Excel Workbook. FBDI is especially handy when you need it for things like importing new price list or cost list, uploading a large amount of pricing data at once, creating pricing tiers in bulk, importing or updating many price lists in a single batch, or migrating data and keep your price list up to date over time. You can review and fix any data validation errors that happen during the import process. If any of your price list includes coverage items or configuration options for configured items, it's best not to use batch upload for these. Instead, import those price lists, or, if possible, batch upload only the price lists that don't include coverage items or configuration options. This will help avoid any data issues during the import process. Be sure to use the price list import batch template file when you want to import or update a large number of price list tiers if you need to delete pricing data from interface tables. For step-by-step guidance, check out the Pricing Readiness training on the Order Management Readiness page. The link is provided on this slide of your student guide. Verify your import in the Edit Price List page in Pricing Administration. Here are some of the actions you can take: create, update, end, and insert. To keep everything organized, the Source Price List ID attribute is used to identify the specific price list, and the Source Price List Item ID attribute is used to identify the specific item on the. You can use the price list import batch template file templates to upload batches of price lists all at once. This makes managing multiple price lists much more efficient. When you use file-based data import to bring in pricing and discount data regularly, the interface tables will get larger as more batches are processed. Over time, this can start to slow down the import process. To avoid performance issues, make sure to run the delete pricing tables schedule process after a batch imports is complete. You can set this process to run automatically on a schedule, ideally during off-peak hours. Just a quick note, this cleanup process shouldn't be run at the same time as importing price list or discount list, since it's incompatible with those tasks. So, don't run the import price list batch or import discounts list programs while you're running the delete processes. The following 3 student practices happen to support your learning. Creating a price list for standard item with multiple charges. This practice takes you through the process of creating a price list for a standard item with one-time and recurring charges. Adding a new condition column to a matrix class. This practice takes you to the pricing setups to define an attribute pricing rule for a standard item using the. And creating a price list for a coverage item that covers a standard item. This practice takes you through creating a price list for a coverage item that covers a standard item. In our final topic for the lesson, we'll explore creating a new price list. In the new price list UI, you have lots of flexibility. You can perform things such as the following: create a brand new price list, add items and manually enter prices, set prices in different units of measure using standard unit of measure. You can calculate prices automatically based on a cost list, using another price list as a reference, or even across multiple price lists. Actions to make updates quickly, like adding multiple items to a price list or calculating prices for many items at once. You can also set up an approval flow for your price list. Let's check out how a price list looks in the Redwood UI. A price list is basically a group of sales prices for items or services, aimed at a specific set of customers and time frame. In this example, the price list covers several standard items. By default, you can make changes to up to 250 records at once, but this limit can be adjusted if needed. You can easily add 1 or more items to this price list as your catalog grows. This setup gives you both flexibility and managing your pricing. For new price list, you can require approval before any changes go live. You can create or edit a price list and work on it in draft mode until it's ready. As a setup tip, use the price list approval task in the BPM work list to set up your approval rules. You can customize the approval process to do the following: assign specific employees to approve based on the type of change or the data used in the price list. You can include multiple approvers, either reviewing changes one after another, such as sequential same time, which is parallel, or in different approval stages. This gives you control over how price list updates are reviewed and